It's v.h.s.x. What do you mean?
Alright everybody, welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're going to be doing a reaction discussion video from Choy titled Behavior Just Accidentally Reverted Anti-Cheat Back to 2022 Dead by Daylight. Now, I'm interested in actually hearing this topic because I didn't really know that this was actually the case. This was actually recommended to me by one of you guys in the Discord community. So if you are interested in suggesting videos and speaking with other like-minded individuals in a community, you can go ahead and join with the link in the description. Accept the rules with the knife emoji at the bottom, and you can speak with the rest of us. So with that being said, let's go ahead and dive in. Thank you for these suggestions, and I feel like this is going to be a really fun one to talk about.
This year, oh, they were proud of themselves, right? Behavior did a little bit of a, I think it was a Comic-Con panel. They were up there doing their little hints for their next DLC, you know, it was real cute here and there. And they talked about how they were going to have a new anti-cheat coming out this year. Nice, new anti-cheat. Everybody applauded, they glazed. The day that got announced, the day that got announced, the cheater insiders that I know had already messaged me, not only that they know what that's going to be, but also that they have already figured out how to counter it. And in a way, it even pushed them to innovate in ways to create new cheats they never even thought was possible.
Well, you heard it there from Choy. He's got insider information of people who know about the anti-cheat. And at first I thought that they were going to push it back like they've been pushing back everything to basically waste time on changes that nobody wants. And it's pretty insane and pretty incredible to really see that, because as we know, they've been constantly trying to drop changes without any nuance, and they actively keep using data to try to balance things when that really isn't the solution when discussing a game like DBD. A game like DBD is unfortunately full of nuance and perspective, and because of that, it leads to a lot of people's perspectives being extremely anecdotal, and that's why you usually have to present things with, from my experience or in my anecdotal experience, or from a person who has this amount of hours and plays like this and da-da-da-da. And that's why that's the case, and that's why even having a certain number of hours really equates to nothing sometimes, because of the fact that you can claim to have, you know, 100,000 hours and you could still be at lower average MMR. Like, you can still do that. Like, that is a possibility. And I've seen that personally, actually, from people who claimed, or at least have shown to have a certain amount of hours and still proceeded to be in an average and low MMR. So it is certainly not affected by hours played necessarily. With that being said, however, the cheating issue has been a prominent issue in this game for a very, very, very long time. We've even seen it recently with Quiet Kills, who has pretty much shown that he was unable to really play the game at all. And we we see that it's still prevalent even now, right? And they have not updated their anti-cheat at all. They have not done any of that. And now we're seeing that it is now back in full force. According to Choy, you know, we have it like they're already coming up with countermeasures against it.
And they still haven't had to release those yet because that update, it went into thin air. They were too busy worried about tunneling and slugging to do the anti-cheat update.
We wanted to give survivors a big update. We always update killers. We don't do a lot for survivors. We're going to change that.
So the first thing that you can see on the screen, all the measures that we want to take in order to improve camping, slugging, tunneling, we will actually give you more details in the coming weeks and in the coming months. We want to do it right. It's something that we want to carefully craft, and we want to also...
Well, it's ironic that they claimed they wanted to carefully craft it and then waste months and months and months on stupid fucking changes that nobody wanted. Like... it's all brain dead like updates. They never take anything into account. They don't look at nuance. They don't play the game. They don't actually like they have zero information about this game besides all this data collection. It's like, what is that supposed to do for you? Not really much.
Discuss more with our community and our content creators to make sure, again, we do it right.
So it never even came to conclusion. But that's still something that's going to happen off in the future, which means 2026 probably going to be an absolute catastrophe. 2025 is really just going to be the appetizer for what's to come in terms of cheating. But let's move on. If you get on Twitch right now, you can watch hackers with their killer AI bots back in action. You remember those killer AI bots that just wiped the team in seconds, killing you over and over and over and over again? Well, what happened, of course, as the anti-cheat got updated, these players would get automatically banned because the anti-cheat would see that, hey, this is bullshit, let's ban these guys. But because this update that Behavior has just done reverted everything back to the anti-cheat of 2022, because of that, these cheaters do not trigger automatic bans right now, which means that it requires a real life person to trigger these bans, a real life employee. Maybe.
Well, there you have it. Because of their incompetence, once again, classic Behavior, once again, their incompetence goes through and shows exactly what we expect to see. Their recent update basically pushed out the automatic ban for these things, and now that's probably causing even more cheaters than before. And that might even explain why even Quiet Kills recently was unable to play any matches without being, you know, at multiple different times. You can watch the video on your own. Multiple different like times of day, trying to get a match in for content for his channel, and lo and behold, couldn't get any matches without a cheater specifically flying in and causing havoc. And it's ridiculous. But now we have at least an idea of why that's the case.
Chandler Riggs in the basement chained up can ban a few people here and there, but for the most part, if they're not already on holiday break, are going to go on holiday break very soon. And that's very concerning, because if they leave the game in this state over the holiday break, it's just going to be absolutely filled with cheaters. It's going to be a disaster. And you might say, well, it's not that big of a deal because you can just DC from these matches, right? You don't really see DC penalties that much anymore, right? So just DC if you go up against a cheater. Well, there's something about that some of you may not realize because maybe you don't DC very often. So let's talk about how the DC penalty works in the game right now. Before, you would get a 5-minute penalty, a 10-minute penalty, a 15-minute penalty. You could say, okay, that's enough for me. I've DC'd too much. I'm gonna go play another game and I'll come back later. But now you don't see that. You don't see the 5-minute ban. You don't see the 10-minute ban. You don't see the 15-minute ban. It's all happening in the background. It's tracking you, letting you play match after match after match, even while you're DCing. But the system is secretly ramping up behind the scenes. So suddenly, bam, you're hit with a 30-minute or an hour ban out of nowhere. And you might say, okay, that sucks. I'll just go play another game for an hour. Well, you better make sure to start that timer before you leave, because if you don't, if you just immediately leave the game after DCing, you could come back a week, 2 weeks later, get on the game, hit play, boom, instant 2-hour DC penalty, because that DC penalty does not lock in until you try to queue the next time, which is just weird and doesn't make any sense. But come on, let's be honest, what fucking makes sense in this game at this point?
Well, there you have it right there. I mean, that also is the contributing factor to the hacker problem or I guess cheater problem, I should say, that the game already has. So not only are cheaters running amok, not getting banned, but now because of the DC changes, that also directly affects when you go against the hackers. Say that hackers end up going like chasing you down and following you around everywhere you go at different times of the day, right? Like you can try to log in at different times and they consistently will track you down, and you try to DC from that, you can't, right? Because, or I guess you technically can, but then your ban is so crazy, like an hour or 2 hours or whatever have you, because you're trying to get out of the match with the cheaters in them. And it overall is just not a good thing. This is not quality of life like they claimed. This is not something that people want to go up against. This is not something that people want to experience. And it is a glaring issue. This game has a lot of glaring issues. It has a lot of problems. We understand that, and we know that without a shadow of a doubt.
point anymore anyway. In fact, as you're watching this video, I doubt you have very much shock at all. Nothing here is really gonna surprise you. The game is currently so pathetic that it doesn't even feel like we're at rock bottom anymore. It feels like we live at rock bottom. And of course, after this short and spicy video, you might say, Choy, well, why are you revealing all of this publicly when you could just privately, behind the scenes, report it to Behavior? Now, the answer to that is actually kind of simple. Not only would Behavior obviously not listen to anything I have to say, I mean, let's be honest, they didn't even listen to Chandler Riggs when he was in their studio. No, Chandler, that's not what this is.
Yeah. Ots was saying that, like, if we fill up the lobby completely with spectators, is that not going to work?
No, not for what this is.
Okay, gotcha.
You have only yourself to blame, Chandler.
There's a 0% chance they're gonna listen to me. So why don't you just honestly just shut your mouth, huh?
Yeah, that's a very good point. They don't care about anybody's feedback. They don't care about and really anybody besides the casual Survivor players that are DCing and uninstalling, because those are their cash cows, and they're only concerned with their little pay pigs. They're not really worried about the killer players, and not really worried about people reporting anything. They want to shift to become a publisher, and they want to try to soak in as much money as they can with their slop, and then that's what they want to do. So it's unfortunate to see, but it's definitely the sad reality with this game, and it's unfortunate to say. It really is. There are a lot of people that might be experiencing, maybe not to the extent that Quiet Kills has experienced with the cheater issue, but certainly is definitely probably going to be at least close to it, right? Because, like, you know, the game is already in a bad state. The list goes on, right? The list goes on and on and on. The game's in a bad state as it is. There's a cheater issue. There's, like, the gen speed problem, the overtuned perk problem. And for survivors, like, because it's so blatantly easy, from what I've heard, some people have said it's super easy, so they don't want to play anymore. It's boring. And then for killer, it's like so disgustingly annoying to play it that, like, you just don't even want to anymore. It's not really worth the juice is not worth the squeeze. And overall, I mean, this is just like a little bit more icing on the shit cake that is DBD right now. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Watch the rest of Choy's video on your own with the link in the description, and support by hitting the thumbs up button. And while you're down there, consider supporting the channel with the links. You can become a member on Patreon or YouTube to have access to exclusive content and perks, all the cool stuff. And let me know your thoughts. I will see you guys in the next one. Well, I wanted to go ahead and take some time out to thank all my members from Patreon with Crow King 101, my YouTube members, Majora Jeff, Endire, Evil Peachy YT, Zero Mocker, Christian, Hexdev, and Crow Vader. And for my Twitch subscribers, Cake is the Road, Danica 2002, Final Girl _Bunny, Acklefin, Chili Cinderace, Zero Mocker, Ginsburg, Johns 117 _ Lovely Ghost TTV, Jar TTV, Zazaboo, and Crow Vader. Just wanted to thank you guys. And if you also want to have your name read off at the end of every video, make sure you join on one of these platforms to get one of those perks, as well as the other perks you get. So appreciate you guys. Thank you guys so much.